Hello everyone, bonjour love lovers. Hey, now I wanted to talk about something that I've been doing research on for the past 2 to 3 years. This is something extremely important and I think interesting, right? So of course I have made similar videos in the past, some of which I've deleted because I don't know, I just like to remove stuff when there's a lot of people talking about that subject, because I just like to be a bit exclusive. Anyway, so we're going to discuss, right, about murders, right? When a partner or a spouse decides to remove their loved one or their once loved one from this earth, right? When a partner decides that it's enough, I don't want you to be alive anymore. When a partner loses it, when a partner plans on removing their partner from this earth and murder them, like what happens in terms of synastry? What triggers those dark and deep and sadistic desires? What happens astrologically for a partner, a lover, a husband, a wife to commit such gruesome actions against their once loved one, right? So this is a deep one, of course, and but we're just gonna go through it, right? So I must remind everyone that if you want your chart to be read and you want me to look at your chart and your relationship or the triggers or how to mend some of the stuff astrologically, I'll click the link below and join everyone that's already had a reading from me and is quite content with that content, right? I'm outside on the balcony, so if there's a bit of noise, I'm sorry. So I must say that some of the people that we're going to be talking about here have basically been deemed by the legal system as not guilty in terms of murdering their spouses, their partners. Some of these people have been deemed by the public to have been guilty. Of course, social media, social environment, witnesses, so to speak, have said these people are guilty of having killed and murdered or murdered their partners, right? But because of the legal system that has deemed them not to be guilty, I will like to say that everything relating to the murders here is alleged, right? So I have compiled a very huge database, for the past 2 to 3 years on this subject. I have looked at a lot of couples, 50 to over 60 couples, just tracking these behaviors. And because as I said, this is a research hub, so everything that I do is really, really pushed by a research interest, in my case, more than just making commentary observations on YouTube. For me, it's more really, really like a a matter of investigation, a matter of research, a matter of legal reporting as well. Because I love relationships, so do you, and we want to see what makes them not work, what makes them work, what makes some partners lose their senses and commit such situations, right? So therefore, we are going to talk about O.J. Simpson, who was alleged to have killed his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson. We're going to talk about Bryn Hartman. I hope I'm saying, her name correctly. She was alleged to have murdered her husband, Phil Hartman. We're going to talk about Brian, because you remember there was the story about Brian who had murdered Gabby Petito, his girlfriend. That everybody, like the social media, was so involved in looking for Gabby, and it was later found out that in fact Brian had murdered Gabby. So we're going to talk about them. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that I'm outside, so if there's a bit of noise, yes, I did mention, but anyway, I'm outside, yeah, so if there's a bit of noise, some wind, all of that, I'm just sitting at the balcony. So we're going to talk about Oscar Pistorius, the South African Olympic record-breaking winner, athlete, who murdered his girlfriend, River Steenkamp. So I already did an analysis on this case. So maybe now it's like 2 years since I made that. No, it's actually a year and a half since I made the analysis, and then I put it on private because there was a lot of legal going back and forth around Oscar Pistorius at the time, so I just removed it. And then we're going to talk about Michael Jace, who also murdered his wife, April Loney, right? And we're going to talk about April is actually an athlete and Michael an actor, both Americans. We're going to talk about AKA, the South African rapper, who was alleged to have killed his fiancée, Nellie Case. But however, the legal system in South Africa refused to prosecute. Therefore, no one can say he was really guilty because he was not prosecuted, and the legal system actually refused, stating lack of evidence, right? We are also going to talk about a French couple. Actually, I'm not going to include them in this. So I'm just going to focus on these 6 couples, like the 6 set of couples. And so these are the ones that I chose out of more than 60, perhaps close to 70 couples that I tracked from the database. But these ones, because they are very, very well known and their cases are highly publicized, very, very known by everyone, so that's how I chose them for this recording session. So I chose actually, out of all the aspects that keep appearing in these cases, I chose only 3 for this recording session because I don't want to make a long video. So for this recording session, we're only going to focus on top 3 aspects that are found in murder cases that are involving couples, right? So of course, this is obviously Synastry, when one person ends a relationship with another person by a form of murder, it is a very, very dark synastry, but it is synastry nonetheless, right? So the first aspect, or the first clear planetary a relationship that is visible over and over and over and over again. Okay, and remember, I'm not listing these according to the importance or according to how many times I've seen it. I'm just stating them loosely without putting any importance over the other, right? So the first one that I noticed in literally all of the cases that I looked over the 2 to 3 year period is the Lilith with Venus aspect, right? I'm sorry to my Vedic group, because in the Vedic system, Lilith is not studied, right? However, it is very important because it's something that I have seen in all of the charts that are involving murder and the removal of spouse from planet Earth, right? By their partner or spouse, right? So when we're talking about an aspect of Lilith and Venus, it could be a conjunction or an opposition. Okay, this is what I'm seeing over and over and over in all. When I say all, I really mean all of the murder cases, right? The second one that I have, again, not in any particular order, the second one that I have is an aspect of Sun and Mars. All right, so Sun and Mars, it could be in a conjunction or in an opposition, but this is again in all of these cases that I've studied over the 2 to 3 year period, right? Now, and the third one that I saw in all of them, perhaps except 2 cases, but 99% of these of these cases had Sun and Rahu or Ketu aspect. Therefore, when we're talking about Sun and Rahu, it could also be a conjunction of Sun with Rahu or of Sun with Ketu, making an opposition to one of the nodes, right? So these are the top 3 deadly, horrifying, gruesome aspects that push a partner or that causes a partner, a spouse, to murder their loved one and to decide that the end has come for their loved one. Right. By the way, I'm recording this for the 4th time now, because every time that I try to do it, I just blocked and I just couldn't breathe properly because of the topic. I don't like such topics, or to talk about such topics. It becomes so heavy on me. And so now I'm giving a 4th try, trying to sound normal, trying to sound a bit clearer, a bit vibrant, but the topic is really heavy on me. And the other 3 recordings that I did, oh my gosh, they were just so heavy and so slow and low on energy, because my vibe, my energy, it just gets dragged down by such topics. So this is why I deleted most of the videos that I did regarding this topic, and I started doing these videos, my gosh, like 2 years ago, and I couldn't keep them up there. Only one that I left only for reference. It is of AKA, right? So now, starting with O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown Simpson's case. Nicole died on the 12th of June 1994, allegedly killed by O.J. Simpson, by stabbing. O.J. Simpson, born 9th July 1947. Nicole, born 19 May 1959, both in America, right? We know O.J. Simpson because he was a well-known athlete, and he recently passed away as well, right? So what we see in their charts, regarding to this day, this gruesome day, we are seeing that Lilith again. We are seeing that Lilith, was conjunct Mars on Nicole's chart, right? But in Nicole's original or natal birth chart, she's got Venus with Mars, right? So now when that came through a transit, okay, Lilith was making a return, being conjunct with the natal Lilith, right? But that's not really what we talked about, right? The top three. From the top three that I chose, because as I said, there's so many aspects. I could explain everything, but I just chose three just to make a short video. So from the three, basically what was happening is that the transiting sun was conjunct Rahu in transit as well, and also conjunct Mars in O.J. Simpson's chart. So as you can see, both, we have Mars, Rahu, we have Mars, Sun, Rahu, Sun, all conjunct in Taurus, right? And again, we are having, in his natal chart, his Venus opposite his Lilith. Now, when it's in a natal chart, it means that your whole life will be surrounded by something dark, by dark stories or something sinister, and that's what has happened his whole life. He's been surrounded by this, or followed by, this murder case until he himself passed away. And of course, there's also that rumor that he fathered Khloe Kardashian, which is something that followed him all of his life because Venus is opposite Lilith. Now moving on to the case of Bryn Hartman and Phil Hartman, both born in America, as I said. Bryn born on 11 April 1958, and Phil Hartman born in September 24th, 1948. So what we're seeing here, what's really was the first thing that I saw, is that on this day, Lilith was conjunct Venus in transit, right? And at the same time, Mars was conjunct Sun again, giving, the 2 out of the 3 that I've chosen of the aspects, right? Now, what I've noticed, which is something that, is not happening in all of the charts, but is happening mostly in the victim's charts, is an observation that the victim at the time of death, their transiting sun would be opposite their natal sun. So most of the victims that I have studied have sun in transit opposite sun in natal position, right? This is when that time comes when they are taken off this planet Earth by their partner, right? So now in the case of Michael Jace and April Lawn, we have Michael Jace born in August 13th, 1962. We have April Lawn born in May 6, 1974, right? So what was happening on this day is that, actually before we get to that, Michael Jace was born with the Venus conjunct Lilith in his chart, just like O.J Simpson. Of course, it indicates that somebody is going to be followed by a dark energy or dark stories throughout their lives, okay? And for him, being, of course, this murder case, right? We are having on this day Sun conjunct Ketu in April Lawn's chart, and at the same time, which is something that I've not indicated as an aspect, but then there was a return of Venus at this time, right? So I'm just gonna mention some of the small observation that are there, which are not in everybody's chart, but which are very critical, and which I would explain them in a later stage, of course, as we keep on with our studies, right? Now moving on to AKA and Nellie case, right? On this day, we are having Venus conjunct with Lilith, right, in transit, and at the same time in AKA's chart, we are having his Sun conjunct with Rahu again, giving us 2 out of the 3 that I've chosen for today's reporting. Now, what I've also noted, I've also observed, is that as much as I said in the victim's charts, their Sun in transit, right? The transiting Sun is opposite the natal Sun. In the killer's chart, or in the alleged killer's chart, what I keep on seeing over and over and over again, not in all of them, but most of them for sure, like I would say 98%, 97% for sure, is that Mars would be with Sun. It is with the killer, it is in the alleged killer's chart, whilst with the other person, the victim, it would be Sun opposite Sun on this day, right? So just like as I said in Nellie Tembe's case, she was having her transiting Sun opposite her natal Sun, while AKA was having his Sun conjunct Rahu, of course, opposite what? Opposite Ketu, right? And then in the case of Gabby and Brian, so Gabby Petito, Gabby was allegedly murdered by strangulation, right? And because we don't have the exact date of her passing, right? I used the date of her disappearance, the date she is alleged to have disappeared, right? So I'm comfortable to have used it, because remember, with these planets that I'm talking about today, the transit lasts a long time, like about a month. So within a month, the planets would still be in the same position as such, like in the same sign, right? It's not like moon, where moon moves to the next sign every 2.5 days, right? So what we see is that Sun was again conjunct with Mars, right? And on top of this, I am having Gabby as the victim, her transiting Sun opposite her natal Sun. Again, guys, are you seeing this trend? This is something I've studied over 2 to 3 years, and it's something I've studied, oh my gosh, over I'm trying to look for my exact number here. So 67 charts to be exact, because yeah, I just want to be very exact. 67 chart, and it's something I keep saying over and over and over and over again, right? Now, when I looked at Brian's chart, I can see that his Venus, transiting Venus, was conjunct with his natal Lilith. Again, that Lilith coming into a huge play, right? Now, moving on to Oscar Pistorius and River Steenkamp's case. Oscar Pistorius murdered River, and and she passed away through gunshots, right? So what I've seen, oh my gosh, is that her transiting Venus was conjunct her natal Lilith. And again, because she's the victim, her transiting Sun was opposite her natal Sun, as I've shown you guys with the other victims that I've just spoken about. It's something that I keep saying over and over throughout my studies, right? And what we also see is that Mars was conjunct Sun on this day, right? Giving again another confirmation that anytime when Mars is conjunct Sun, and on the victim's side, Sun, the transiting Sun is opposite the natal Sun, murder is likely to happen, right? So without wasting further time, I must say thank you for your time. Thank you for listening, and just check your charts, and take care, and take care. So thank you, and I'll chat to you soon, with more research. I have so much research, so many things to show you guys that I've studied over these years. And we're not just about making commentary, reviews, commentary, things about astrology. No, we're about research. We're about reporting things that have not been studied. We're about discovering the truth and discovering the life that is given through astrology. So thanks, and I'll chat to you soon, you guys. I must go now. Ciao, ciao. A Petito. Ciao.